Arrow Video, I love you, but you done messed up. Let's talk about this Donnie Darko 4K edition from Arrow Video. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel. I am Ken, here today to review the 4K edition of Donnie Darko from Arrow Video. And yeah, I'm super excited to talk about this one today for a variety of reasons. But before I get into this, I want to ask that if you are not yet a subscriber of the Mid-Level Media channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more great content. I do all kinds of awesome stuff on this channel, mostly centered around the world of physical media. So definitely consider hitting that subscribe button, and also be sure to hit that like button as well. I would definitely appreciate it, and comment down below your thoughts on Donnie Darko, either this Arrow box set, the movie itself, whatever thoughts that you have pertaining to this film, leave that in the comment section below, because we're going to cover all the bases here today, as I usually do with these reviews. I'm going to talk about the movie, I'm going to talk about the special features, the audio-visual quality, and then we're going to talk about the overall packaging, because this is just a spectacular packaging release by Arrow Video. So this movie came out in 2001, and this is another first-time watch for me. I did not grow up with this movie. I did not see this movie when it first came out. I've always heard of it, but over time, it's really grown this cult-like following. There's tons more people that talk about this movie now than they did, say, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when it was newer. Like I said, I've always heard of this movie as being like one of Jake Gyllenhaal's first film. The first film that I watched him in was October Sky, which actually took place 2 years before this. So a lot of people think that this is Jake Gyllenhaal's like one of his first movie, or his first movie. It is not. He did stuff before this movie, but definitely one of his earlier films. And I'm a huge fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. He's like one of my favorite actors of all time, so always curious to go back and kind of see his roots and see where he came from. So also directed by Richard Kelly, who has another Arrow Video release that came out a few months ago that I haven't got around to reviewing yet, and that's Southland Tales. Hopefully I will at some point, but I am not really familiar with Richard Kelly. His style I am kind of now after seeing this movie. He's only got, I think, 3 or 4 films to his name as far as directing. He's definitely written a little bit more than he's directed. So getting into this cast, we've got Jake Gyllenhaal, we've got his sister Maggie Gyllenhaal, we've got Patrick Swayze in this film, which feels completely random, which at the time, you know, he was a big star in the 80s and 90s, kind of died off a little bit in the 2000s. Has to be one of his last starring roles in a movie, but I could be wrong. You also got Jenna Malone, a very young Jenna Malone. She was probably like 16 or 17 in this film, who of course has been in films like The Neon Demon. She does a lot of genre type stuff nowadays. Drew Barrymore, who I didn't even know was in this until I put it in and saw her pop up, which is a complete surprise. You know, there was no star bigger than Drew Barrymore in like the 90s and the early 2000s. So I imagine this was a pretty big deal to get her in this movie. So yeah, great cast across the board. You got the mom, I can't think of her name. The president's wife in Independence Day is in this movie. She's the Donnie Darko's mother. Yeah, just tons of great people in this film. As for what this film is about, I'll give you all a brief synopsis. I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler light as I can, because I got some complaints on my zombie review that said I spoil a little bit too much. So I'm going to try to tone that back just a little bit and talk about this film in more of a general sense. So after escaping a bizarre accident, a troubled teenager is plagued by visions of a man in a large rabbit suit who manipulates him to commit a series of crimes. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the movie for a little bit. This is, I'm going to be honest with you guys, because I'm always going to be honest. I'm not just going to jump on board a train just because I think that people want me to. I'm not going to love this movie because it's popular to love this movie now. And I'll be straight up with you guys. I didn't really enjoy this film. I didn't like it that much. And to be honest, it was a chore for me to get through. It probably took me 3 nights. And I alluded to this a little bit over the course of the week. I kept bringing it up in my live stream. It was like, well, I've got about halfway through it. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it. I could not watch this in one sitting. And I actually started with the director's cut. So that's what I watched first. So maybe that's why. And if I had to watch the theatrical cut first, maybe I could have got through it a little quicker. Maybe that flows a little bit better. But I was not a big fan of this director's cut version, which a good thing that I didn't watch the theatrical cut, as we'll get into a little bit later. So yeah, this is a very strange, awkward, surreal experience that I could appreciate for just the basic filmmaking qualities. Like, I watch a lot of strange, weird films, you know, I watch a lot of A24, like I'm used to that type of filmmaking. And this does feel like a film that was way ahead of its time, like an independent type art house film before that genre even existed. So I do appreciate it just based on those merits, but it was just a movie that I never really felt connected to in any way, plot-wise, story-wise, character-wise. Throughout, I just couldn't engage with anything in this film. You know, the writing, the dialogue, it just all felt not of this world. It's very dreamlike, and I believe that that is intentional, but again, something that I just couldn't connect to. I could never get a grasp on just what the story was, where it was going, what it all meant. Now, I will recognize the fact that this might take a couple of viewings. Like, this just might be one of those films that I have to watch 2 or 3 times to truly get. And that argument can always be made that if a movie takes you 3 to 4 times to truly appreciate and get, is it really a good movie? Or did you just force yourself into liking it? But I had that happen to me a lot with watching movies. My most recent example is another Jake Gyllenhaal film, Enemy, directed by Denis Villeneuve. I didn't love that film the first time I watched it, but I've seen it 3 times since, and every single time I attach myself to a different aspect of that film and that filmmaking, and I love it even more, and it's like one of my top 10 movies of the past decade now. So maybe this could be another Enemy, and maybe Jake Gyllenhaal is just a testament to that actor and just the kind of great roles that he's taken throughout his career, interesting roles. He never takes the easy route when he goes to pick his next role and performance. So I do appreciate that about that actor. And speaking of the performances across the board, they're great. Everybody in this movie is really diving deep into these roles and really helping set the mood of what I believe the overall director's vision for this film was. You even get Seth Rogen that pops up in this film quite frequently. He's like a bully in town, but it was cool to see like a younger Seth Rogen. I can only imagine getting this based off of his role in Freaks and Geeks, which he was pretty much the only thing he was in back in the late 90s, early 2000s. This is before he, of course, popped with A 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up and all of those films after. So it was cool to see a very young Seth Rogen in this movie. You know, for the time, I thought this movie had nice special effects. They didn't always translate the best in the 4K format. There's a lot of like little bubble things going. It kind of reminded me a little bit of The Matrix with the stop motion, and would just kind of move through the air around the characters. It just larger bubbles, I guess. But yeah, I enjoyed the effects. The camera work is fantastic. The cinematography is fantastic. Like, it's super interesting. And if there's one thing that drew me into the movie in any way, regardless of if the characters or story or plot did, it was the camera work and the direction. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna give this movie another chance someday. I'm not gonna let this be the only time I experienced this film. But yeah, like I said, it was tough to get through for me. And as of right now, if I'm reviewing this on Letterboxd, I'm giving it a 2.5 out of a 5. So let's go ahead and get into the visual quality, guys. And this is where we're gonna have a tough conversation here today with Arrow, because there are some frame rate issues on the theatrical cut disc, the 4K disc of this film. And there are 2 discs in this set. One is the theatrical cut, one is the 4K director's cut. So there's no Blu-ray copies or anything in this. The Blu-ray edition is not in this set. So the theatrical 4K disc does have some frame rate issues. I did not watch the entire film in the theatrical cut. I kind of fast forward a little bit to get through it and just kind of notice where the issues were. Like I said, I watched the director's cut. That's what I watched first. So maybe I would have enjoyed the film more in the theatrical cut. I don't know. Let me know in the comments section below. But yeah, there were some frame rate issues. If you bought this for the theatrical version, if that's your favorite, I imagine that you're disappointed. And as of right now, Arrow Video is looking into this. So I imagine that they're going to provide replacement discs, but they have not put that out as of right now as I'm talking about this. So I can only talk about this and review this in context of what we know and where we're at now with this disc and a potential replacement later on down the line. But as for the director's cut transfer, I mean, I didn't think it was the best either. It's extremely dull and dark throughout the whole movie. This is a very dark movie, and I even adjusted the settings on my TV a little bit and kind of turned the brightness up, because there was moments and I had all the lights were out where I couldn't even see what was going on the TV. I felt like I was watching the Game of Thrones battle for Winterfell with the Night Walkers. It was that level of dark. So yeah, the colors are not very vivid. The black levels are not the best. I've definitely seen better in movies like this before, so I can't give the transfer that good of a score anyway, regardless of the frame rate issues on the theatrical cut. I just didn't think it was a great transfer, if I'm being honest. So let's move on to the audio issues. As far as the audio, I know some people have mentioned having issues with the fact that there is no Dolby Atmos. There is only 5.1 DTS master audio in this, which for me doesn't matter anyway. I'm using a soundbar. The sound sounded all good for me. That was one of the bright spots of this release for sure. So no issues for the audio on my end. Everything sounded super clear and crisp, and yeah, just no problems at all with that. So let's get into the packaging, because this is the bright spot, big glaring bright spot for this release. My God, this is such excellent packaging on this. This is the biggest Arrow box set that I've seen, at least standalone box set. So yeah, completely phenomenal. There's a booklet inside, there's cards, the reversible cover art. This is just such a nice sturdy box set. I love the Arrow box sets. Every time I get one, I have to slap the cover just to let you guys know how sturdy it is. And yeah, this is a fantastic box set for sure. So the packaging, spectacular packaging in this. So as for the special features, just to go into it, there's tons of special features in this, but nothing new from that Blu-ray release from 2017 from Arrow Video. So it's all pretty much the same. You know, I watched the documentary with the guy that was like a super fan of Donnie Darko. I thought that was a pretty good one. I watched the Deus Ex Machina, the philosophy of Donnie Darko. I watched some of the casting interviews, the archival cast interviews from a long time ago. So some great special features, tons of stuff to get into, commentary tracks, and all of that. So definitely does not skimp on the special features. But if you already have that 2017 release, you're not getting anything new here other than the upscale of the 4K transfer. So as for my final score of this, guys, I mean, at the end of the day, I really struggled with what to give this. I almost thought about giving it the Walmart bargain bin, which would have been that second level down. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give this a wait for the sale, because I think ultimately at the end of the day, I think Arrow is going to provide those replacement discs. And this is just a spectacular release packaging wise. And I just love the respect that Arrow gives to these kind of niche cult classics, giving them these big box sets release. I just think it's super cool that they're doing this kind of work. And for this ambitious of a set, you know, I mean, mistakes happen, things happen. I know they just had a mistake with the Demons box set, but I don't know. I think they're going to make good on it. But at the end of the day, the transfer on the director's cut isn't the best as well. So the movie also I don't love, but again, I'm going to recognize the fact that a lot of people do. That is my subjective opinion. So I'm not going to knock it too hard for that. So I'll give this a wait for the sale, because right now it's about $33 on Arrow's website. I actually paid even more for that just to kind of get it in early so I could review it for you guys. But yeah, guys, that is my review of Donnie Darko, the 4K set from Arrow Video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Comment down below your thoughts on Donnie Darko, this Arrow version, your thoughts on the movie, your thoughts on the release, your thoughts on that theatrical cut 4K disc debacle that we're all in right now. Also, be sure to like this video, share this video, turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and we'll see you next time.